Of Minii Adventures mountain bike experiences here. I'm a professional mountain bike skills instructor and coach, and today I've partnered up with Handup Gloves, one of my favorite companies and actually supporters of Minii Adventures, to bring you what we consider our 5 tips to have a great ride. So in my opinion, every day is a great day to ride, but the better we set ourselves up for success behind the scenes and before we hit the trails, I can guarantee the better time you'll have out there. All right, so tip number 1, get the cooler, get the ice, and your post-ride bevy of choice. Put it all in the cooler so it's just nice and cold for when you're done your ride. Tip number 2, what to bring and pack in your backpack when you're headed out on the trails. So, as a professional skills coaching guide, I pack a lot of extra things, usually just because I'm packing extra for the riders, and I like to be prepared for worst case scenario. But here's a couple things that you should probably make sure that you're including in your bag. A tube, specific to your wheel size. Tire levers. CO2, it's a quick way to reinflate those tires, but a pump just in case, because you never know. A good multi-tool. So I have a full set of Allen keys on here, a Torx, but another little bonus one in here is a chain braking tool, power link that is specific for your drivetrain setup. There's a lot out there, so they don't all mishmash. A little bit of chain lube in case we're out there for a big day or maybe conditions are gonna change. Needle nose pliers, those come in handy more times than you can count on. Zip ties, these are the magic. You'd be surprised what you can save with a handful of zip ties. Extra hair bands, same thing. You never know what these might do for you. Okay, so we're good in the tool department. I like to ride with the first aid kit because, again, I like to be prepared for worst case scenario. You're gonna wanna make sure you got enough water for the day's activities. And last but not least, snacks. I might be known for being the queen of snacks, but I like these little Brookside chocolates. Welch's are a personal favorite. Maybe some goose or some gels in case anyone starts to get a little bit hangry. But last but not least, I don't know, you might find some donuts in there. You never know. Tip number 3, do your ABCD bike check before you get going. The better you check over this bike before you hit the trail, the less likely you're gonna run into any issues when you get out there. So A stands for air, so I want to check the tire pressure in the front and the back tire. I also want to just double check that my suspension's working properly. B stands for brakes, so make sure front brake's working, back brake is working, and that the brakes are also not dragging. C stands for chain ring, cassette, and the cable that talks to that rear derailleur in my case. So I'm gonna make sure that I lube the chain, and then I'm gonna just double check the shifting really quickly before I load it up. D covers 2 things, including the word drop. So we're gonna double check that the dropper post is working, and we're actually gonna give the bike a little bit of a drop test. So this is a listening exercise, and it's just a great way to find if you've got any rattles or awkward sounds in the bikes that might indicate that something might be loose. Tip number 4, so when we get out on the trails, I want you to start thinking about mountain biking a little bit as like a recipe. So much like when you're making your brownies, your cookies, and your donuts, you'll notice that there's key ingredients in all those recipes: your flour, your sugar, your eggs, your butter. Now when we get out on the trail, and depending on what we're doing, you'll start to feel a lot of crossover in terms of the techniques and the movements that we're going to do on the bike. So there's 4 key ingredients we can apply to most areas on the trail so that we feel comfortable, confident, and consistent about our actions. And so the comfort, confident, and consistent, think of that as like being our baked good out on the bike. Key ingredient number 1, the nose knows. Point your nose where you want to go. Key ingredient number 2, get heavy in those feet, light in the hands.
Key ingredient number 3, the arms and legs are the suspension. Key ingredient number 4 is we want that torso to stay still like a statue.
Don't forget to snack along the way too. Last but not least, tip number 5 is how to do the hand up so that you can take the perfect picture for your Instagram and show proof to everybody that we're out there. Little tip to do this is I think about laying my left hand over my right hand, and I want to match my middle fingers up on the tip and then lay the hand down like that so you get a little triangle through the middle. Boom. Stoked on my ride. Those are some nice cold drinks. Holy. Coconut LaCroix. That's where it's at. So to recap, our 5 tips to make sure that you have a great ride. Number 1, put the bevies in the cooler with some ice so they're nice and cold for when you get back. Number 2, be prepared by making sure you have all the essential things you need in your backpack. Number 3, do your ABC bike checks to make sure your bike's in good working order before you head out. Number 4, use those key mountain bike ingredients to help you have a great time out on your bike or when things start to feel a little not so good. And number 5, make sure you know how to do the hand up so you can get that photo for the gram. If you want to know more about Minii Adventures, you can find me on my website, which is miniiadventures.com, MINII. If you want to get yourself a pair of stoked gloves from Handup, make sure you head on over to their website. And we just want to say cheers. Thanks for tuning in today, and happy trails.